Hey guys, welcome back into the next video in this series. After the last video, when we finalized the review of my financial plan, I was going to move on to something else, but it had dawned on me that even though it's not my condition that I am seeking to acquire a loan to start my business, that many of you out there may, in fact, be in exactly that position. And if so, then my not doing so really is no help to you and how to exactly pursue and prepare for doing something like that. So I figured I would go over, at least to the best of my knowledge, how it is that you can prepare at least the documents to present to a lending institution in order to acquire a business loan. Now, I have not done this myself, but I have prepared packages for presentation, and so if nothing else, I'll at least demonstrate for you what it is that I've done so far. So the first one we're going to go over is kind of a really in-depth document presentation that after I actually presented this to some of my consultants with the SBDC, they said it was way more information that was needed for a business loan, so I wouldn't recommend this. But this was an assignment I did in school of a presentation for a business plan, right? So we're just going to look over this briefly because not all of it is unpertinent, but it gives a logo, name of the business, right, address, things of that nature. But then there's a table of contents to that. And obviously that just outlines the information that's within this. Part one is the overview of the business, in which case we identify the business name, followed by a description of the business, the form of the business, whether you're going to be a sole proprietor, it's a partnership, whether it's a limited liability company, whether it's a subchapter S or C corporation, however it is that you're going to actually form the entity of that business, description of its location. Falling into part two, there's a description of the industry in which you're seeking to engage in business, an analysis, some kind of overview of your competition of that market, and others that are servicing that. Part three starts with industry service description, exactly what it is that you're going to do to service the industry that you kind of talked about up here, right? What different parts or aspects of that are you looking to engage in, and a description of your products. Finally, we move on to part four, which is management and personnel, in which you're going to be giving some kind of description to the key players running the business and why they're qualified to do so. And you cap that off with your financials, and I'm not going to go to that because we really just finished looking at my financial plan. Now, when I initially talked to the SBDC about this in pursuit of trying to acquire a business loan, they said that was way more information than any bank would actually legitimately be interested in. They're not going to read all of that because they're primarily interested in trying to figure out, are you going to be making enough money to pay back the loan that you're seeking from them? Bar none. Just kind of get to the point. And that would be the only scenario in which you're actually presenting a business plan is to a bank. Otherwise, it's just for your own personal use. So after having done that, I just used the original format and made some alterations per their suggestion. I reduced the scope of this substantially to the first part being just a purpose. What is the purpose of this presentation, right? The purpose is you're seeking an amount of X amount of dollars loan to start your business. And then they want you to kind of break down how much it is that you're putting up starting into the business, and of the funds that you're seeking to acquire from them, what are those going to be applied to? And you'll notice that those questions are answered in some of the earlier pages of the financial plan that we just reviewed. So that financial plan is actually purposed to dovetail and mesh and be a part of this presentation of this document we're reviewing right here when you present this to the bank. So they can look at that, they can look at your description here and see that it matches. Oh, you're seeking $180,000, $60,000 is going to be supplied by the owner. You have a startup cost of $240,000, right? And then it just goes down into what are your, recalling the business balance sheet, what are your long-term assets you're looking to acquire, and what amount is that going to be expensed towards, and what are the balances for, how much of this is working capital, blah, 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 blah. Again, reaching your total startup cost of this with your partition of that being described up here. All right, description of business. They are interested at least in that, but not to any great extent. Just who are you? what are you going to be doing? Why do you believe you're going to be viable in this market? And just try and qualify that for them briefly. Products and services that you intend to offer, what it is that you're going to be doing as you're engaging in business, and back to the point of their interest, what are your revenue projections and how are they going to be growing? I will state that a bank or any lending institution that you would be approaching with this information, they are first and foremost interested in seeing growth, healthy, profitable growth in your business. And if you cannot demonstrate a realistic projection of growth and give them your plan and means of how to obtain those goals, you're considered too much of a risk to them most likely, and they're going to deny your request. So again, be mindful of that when you are building your financial plan, which really does work in conjunction with this document here that we're reviewing. They are interested to some extent as to the market. What is the total market availability, and what is the share or of that you're looking to acquire or build up, right? Just because other people are doing it doesn't mean that there's even market opportunity for you. Maybe the market's oversaturated with service providers, or maybe the market's not as big as you think or as hope as it is. They're going to be interested in reviewing that information as well. I went to the extent to talk about some of the other, just in the context of this particular plan that I had developed during this time. This is several years old. Some of the competitors in that market, and then some of the potential clients, customers in the region for this market of the interest of this business that I was describing here. They are briefly interested in the management team as well. And I would say that one of the main reasons this has not been thrown out by the request of the business consultants I was working with, because they are still interested to know that whoever's at the helm of this business, do you have the experience and the qualifications and capability to guide a business to growth and profitability? Because again, they have a keen interest in doing so, because unless your business is successful and viable, you're not going to be paying back their loan. And they are not so inclined as to give you funds to be put in that kind of position. So you are still trying to explain much, if not all of that information to them with this. So it's pretty simple. It's basic, at least in reference to the first one we reviewed. And this would be good and interesting for you to know and plan for. You're going to be wanting to develop this at the same exact time that you're developing your financial plan, if you are, in fact, going to be approaching any kind of lending institution and seeking funds for the startup of your business. Now, another thing you're going to need to be aware of is how to actually apply for a loan. And a part of that is going to be providing a personal financial statement. Now, I remember the very first time that I put together a business plan and I talked to my wife about wanting to pursue business, and it was going to require obtaining a loan in order to do so. And her comment to me was that she was okay with it as long as we didn't have to leverage our house. And I completely agreed with that. And looking back on that now, it's kind of a funny comment, because as I learned shortly thereafter with, again, working with the SBDC, there's no such thing as deciding what it is that you're willing to use as collateral in your loan, what it is you're not. You're either personally providing the security of that loan, or you are not, based on the entirety of the assets that you personally own. No different than any kind of business. You cannot leverage one thing and not another. It's either your assets qualify your loan or they don't. So just in case you're as ignorant as I was, be aware of that. Now, this is a very typical personal financial statement loan document. This is the Small Business Administration 7A/504 Loans and Security Bonds document. So you would be given a date to this as to when you filled this out, and just filling in the information that's provided after. You can tell this one's old because it shows an expiration date of January 31st, 2018. But I don't believe that the current documents are much, if any, different to this at all. But nonetheless, you're going to want to Google this, right? Take exactly this title right here and put that into a Google search and obtain this as a PDF document right here. And you're going to want to fill this out, and you're going to have to provide this along with your business plan or financial statement to a lending institution to try and apply for a loan. So it'd be your name, your business phone number, if you have one, your home address and phone number, and your home location and business name of applicant. So one thing to remember in here, sometimes it's asking for personal information, sometimes it's asking for business information, but this is you personally seeking a business loan, especially for a startup. You don't have any business assets to leverage in order to obtain a business loan. So this is a personal loan in order to go and start a business. Do not forget that. Now, since it is for the startup of a business, there are new or different, lending institutions afforded to you in order to obtain that loan, different than just a personal loan, in which case you'd have to go to like your regional bank or something of that sense. There are national lending institutions that only do business loans that you may be able to qualify for from them, get better rates and stuff like that. But that's due to the purpose of the loan. But you are personally qualifying this loan. So they are interested in all of your personal assets and your personal liabilities in order to give you a loan to start your business. And you're going to be filling that information out here, the total value of the assets that you have versus what it is you might owe on those assets or anything else of the like, what your income sources are, at least currently, contingent liabilities, things of that nature. I don't need to go through and explain this to you. They're pretty self-evident what exactly it is. But nonetheless, my point to this and the entirety of this video, if you are seeking a loan to start your business, you're going to need to obtain this document and fill it out. And I would highly recommend that if you do have any questions about it whatsoever, how to do so and how to do it properly and accurately. If you do not have an SBDC chapter near to you that you can utilize their services, at least talk to a bank, any kind of banker. They're going to be very familiar with this document and they can point you in the right direction as to what information to provide where. And they're going to be of more use and benefit to you than I would be in this video to try and give explanation to that. So I hope that was of help to you. I cannot say that I've ever personally ventured any further down the rabbit trail of trying to obtain a business loan to start one. And that is an entirely different endeavor in and of itself, and I apologize for not being more helpful than this, but I hope that it did point you in the right direction, gives you an idea, and can help save some time of how to accurately at least prepare the presentation and the documentation to go and request that you receive funds to start your own business, because you're going to have to qualify a lot of this information for them. You want it to all be there, you want it all to be accurate, and you don't want too much in front of them that isn't pertinent to what it is that they're looking for either. So if you do have any questions, I would recommend that you seek professional advice, but hopefully I was able to point you in the right direction. I hope you did enjoy and appreciate this video. Again, and as always, if you have any questions or any comments, please do add that to the posting of this video. Please do subscribe and stick around for the next video in this series.